What we have here is indicative of all the damage around the Mission property. We have damage to a wall where the adobe and the plaster is starting to separate, either due to water damage or just due to the sun beating down on the building and having that moisture between the plaster and the adobe start to separate.
This facility is in danger of destruction by an earthquake. We don't have earthquake retrofit.
The Mission is 206 years old and it's in need of repair. There's a lot of things on an ongoing basis. I mean, if you don't maintain something, it's going to break down.
We do not have enough water at this point to fight a major fire. We have our antiquated wells, and without connecting to city water, if we have a major fire, we could be lost.
If you take the worst case, the state could come in and say, you can no longer have people visiting the Mission. People cannot go into your museum, and it'll be a condemned building.
When is the Mission not being used, not being visited? The Mission is open every day except Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Those are the offices. But we have Memorial Mass. We have Mass Thanksgiving Day. We have Mass on Christmas. We have Mass on New Year's. There's not a day the facility is not open for some use of some way.
The severe condition of the Mission's deferred maintenance and its dangerously antiquated infrastructure is not apparent to most visitors and guests.
And if you can see, one of the beams above my head does show some damage that has the building tweaked a little bit and the beam split. And they took some steel plates and drove some bolts through them to try and maintain the integrity of those two beams. And as you can see, there is damage to the wall from water. Water has gotten in through the roof, caused damage to the adobe and plaster walls. What we have here is the sole source of water for the Mission San Luis Rey for sanitation and drinking and cooking. It consists of a well which goes down approximately 150 feet. We are currently trying to bring city water here for firefighting, to protect the Mission Church, to protect the friars, and to protect tourists that come to the Mission. Everything with the Mission is old, archaic, so it's not just a simple matter of taking out a boiler and putting in a new one. It means re-engineering the whole plant to accommodate that boiler and to provide the necessary power to make sure that it's run functionally and safe.
The Mission's annual operating budget is around $2 million. The estimates to provide seismic retrofit, to repair and repaint the buildings, and to modernize the plumbing and electrical systems greatly exceed this amount.
We need $100,000 to paint the Mission Church and all the buildings that we look at that are white. The seismic retrofit of the Mission Church itself is an additional $600,000.
And seismic retrofit of the remaining buildings is $1 million. City water for firefighting, $308,000. Water for drinking and sanitation, another $550,000. And the plumbing re-engineered to accommodate the higher water pressure is $750,000.
Bringing our grand total to $3,308,000.
With its limited annual income, the Mission currently lacks the financial resources needed to pay for these critical improvements.
Unfortunately, the money that is generated by the Mission through the cemetery, through the retreat center, is not enough to handle the daily maintenance and upkeep and the payment of the employees.
We currently receive subsidies from no one, not the Catholic Church, local government, federal government, county, city, state.
We do raise money. Your question ought to be, do we raise enough? And the answer is no.
We do not have any money for capital improvements. We have no money for preservation, very little for restoration.
We're under a deadline of 2006 to do a seismic upgrade for the Mission. And there's no way right now that we can afford to do that and just keep the lights on in the mission.
The community can help us by becoming involved with the Friends of the Mission, attending our special events, and what we need is sustainable cash flow, because we occasionally have to borrow money just to meet payroll.
We get no money from the federal government and we get no money from the Catholic Church. So we're all going to have to pitch in and work and help keep this thing going.
Anything that we can do to support financially this restoration project is something we should seriously all consider.
That would be a tremendous tragedy if we just ignore those things and allow that condition to exist.
Thousands of visitors, tourists, and school children come to the historic Mission San Luis Rey every year. Imagine if this, our most popular tourist site, was banned to the public. What if school children were no longer allowed to visit and explore history at California's largest old mission? This could happen if something is not done, and done soon. Although it was reconstructed at the turn of the last century, it is once again suffering from decline and threatened with the possibility of being closed. Yes, North County could lose one of its most treasured tourist attractions. Is there hope?